The observation deck of Station Calaris 9 hummed with the usual commerce of 100 worlds. Merchants haggled over crystallized starlight. Diplomats exchanged pleasantries in 17 languages. And in the corner, beneath the viewing port that showed the violet expanse of the Viridian Nebula, sat a small dragon girl named Luma. Her scales shimmered like oil on water, iridescent blues and purples that shifted with each breath. Two small horns curved from her forehead, barely longer than her thumbs. Wings, still too young for proper flight, folded against her narrow back. She was perhaps the equivalent of 6 standard years, though her species aged differently than most. Luma watched the other children play. A Vexorian child bounced a gravity ball with her tentacles. Two Karathi younglings chased each other in elaborate spirals, their bioluminescent spots flashing with excitement. They laughed and shouted and lived with the kind of freedom that Luma had only observed, never experienced. N01 played with the little dragon girl. That it wasn't cruelty, exactly. The Draconis were an ancient race, powerful and proud. Their children were raised in isolation, taught discipline and control before camaraderie. Emotions were fire, and fire could destroy if left untended. So Luma sat alone, as she had been taught, watching others live the childhood she would never know. Your scales are really pretty. Luma's head snapped up. Standing before her was a human child, a species Luma had only heard about in whispers. The humans were newcomers to the galactic community, barely a century since first contact. They were strange, unpredictable, and according to most civilized species, slightly unhinged. The human girl had dark hair pulled into 2 puffs on either side of her head. Her brown skin gleamed under the station's lights, and her eyes sparkled with something Luma couldn't quite name. She wore a bright yellow jacket with patches that read Earth Explorer Program. "I'm Nova," the human said, plopping down beside Luma without invitation or hesitation. "What's your name?" "Luma," she replied softly, glancing around nervously. Where were this child's guardians? Didn't humans understand protocols? That's a cool name. It sounds like luminous. Are you luminous? Can you glow? Nova leaned closer, fascinated. Luma's chest tightened. No one had ever asked her questions like this before. No one had ever sat this close. I can produce light from my throat. For fire. Whoa, that's amazing. Nova's enthusiasm was almost overwhelming. I can't do anything cool like that. I can only wiggle my ears. Want to see? Before Luma could respond, Nova demonstrated, making her ears shift slightly. It was objectively the least impressive thing Luma had ever witnessed, and yet the human seemed enormously proud of it. "Do you like to play?" Nova asked suddenly. The question hung in the air like a foreign concept. Luma blinked her golden eyes. "Play? Yeah, like games and stuff. Tag, hide and seek, make believe." Nova gestured wildly. "Fun things. I don't know how," Luma admitted, the words tasting like shame. "Draconis younglings don't. Then I'll teach you." Nova jumped to her feet and extended her hand. "Come on." Luma stared at the offered hand. Touch was sacred among her people, reserved for family and bonding ceremonies. But Nova's hand remained outstretched, patient and warm and completely unaware of what she was offering. Slowly, Luma placed her clawed hand in Nova's soft one. Nova's grin could have powered the station's reactors. "Okay, so first we'll play tag. I'll run, and you try to catch me. Ready?" She didn't wait for an answer. Nova took off running through the observation deck, weaving between startled adults and cargo crates. And something in Luma, some primal, long-suppressed instinct, roared to life. She ran. Her wings flared for balance as she chased Nova through the corridors of Calaris 9. The human was fast and unpredictable, darting left when logic said right, laughing like it was the greatest adventure in the galaxy. Luma's heart pounded not with fear, but with something electric and alive. When she finally tagged Nova's shoulder, both girls collapsed in a giggling heap near the food court. "You're really fast," Nova panted, still smiling. "Your turn to run." They played for hours. Tag became hide and seek, which became an elaborate game Nova called Space Pirates and Galactic Knights. Nova insisted Luma should be the knight because you literally have armor and can breathe fire. That's so cool. For the first time in her life, Luma felt the fire inside her chest as something other than danger. It was warmth. It was joy. It was connection. Other children began to notice. A Vexorian asked to join. Then the Karathi twins. Soon a dozen younglings from across the galaxy were playing together, united by the simple, universal language of childhood that Nova had unlocked. When Nova's mother finally found them, the woman looked exhausted but unsurprised. Making friends already, Nova? Mom, this is Luma. She's a dragon and she's amazing. Nova's mother smiled at Luma with the same warmth her daughter possessed. Nice to meet you, Luma. I'm Captain Chun. I hope Nova hasn't been too much trouble. Luma's throat tightened. In her language, she managed, no trouble. She showed me how to play. Captain Chin's expression softened with understanding. She knelt to Luma's level. Well, we're stationed here for 3 more cycles. Maybe you two can play again tomorrow. Nova grabbed Luma's hands. Yes, tomorrow we can play Dragon's Realm. I'll bring my action figures, and we can make a whole story. As Luma watched Nova and her mother leave, she felt her wings twitch with excitement for tomorrow, a feeling she'd never experienced before. An elderly Draconis merchant approached, his ancient eyes studying Luma carefully. Young one, you played with the human. Luma nodded, suddenly worried she'd violated some rule, but the old dragon's expression was gentle. My generation believed isolation made us strong. Perhaps. He glanced toward where Nova had disappeared. Perhaps your generation will teach us that connection makes us stronger. That night, Luma returned to her family's quarters. Her mother noticed the change immediately. The brightness in her eyes, the slight curl to her usually serious mouth. You made a friend, her mother observed. Yes, Luma said. A human. Her name is Nova. Her mother was silent for a long moment. Then she did something unexpected. She smiled. Tell me about your friend. And Luma did. She told her mother about tag and laughter, about games and stories, about a human child who had asked one simple question that changed everything. Outside the viewport, stars wheeled in their eternal dance. But inside Station Calaris 9, something even more cosmic had occurred. 2 children from different worlds had discovered the universal truth that every species eventually learns. Everyone needs someone to play with, and sometimes, all it takes is one person brave enough to ask.